Greetings users and programs, this is Etari Living Sacrifice, and today we're going to talk about how hard work and effort beats talent every day. Let me just say this as we start out. I love Final Fantasy games. I've played every single one of them all the way through except for that MMO one, or the two MMO ones, at least once since the first one all those years ago. It might very well be my favorite series of all time. Some of the most important lessons I've learned in life came from Final Fantasy and other RPG type games like World of Warcraft, Dragon Age, Elder Scrolls, those types of games, and I'm going to share one of my favorite lessons with you today. We see talented people everywhere all the time. Have you ever thought to yourself, that person is so talented, how come they aren't further along yet? How come they aren't more successful? How come some of those other people that aren't as talented as them are making more money, have more followers, or whatever the scale we are using to gauge their success is? The fact is, talent is never enough. For example, I know some people that are amazing at doing impressions and making up character voices. We think, wow, they should become voice actors, right? So we tell them, dude, you should totally become a voice actor. You have such a knack for that. Why don't you do something with it? Well, if they don't pursue a career in voice acting, then making jokes with their group of buddies will get them a lot of laughs. They just won't ever make a living from it. For whatever reason, so many people hide their gifts from the world. Maybe it's fear, the thought of someone making fun of them or telling them that they're stupid for pursuing something outside the normal 8-to-5 job. Who knows? We will cover that topic on another day. The fact is, just because we are talented at something, if we just keep it to ourselves, it will start and end with us. If we don't play the game, we have no chance of beating it. Now, someone out there is saying, you don't seem to understand, Etari. I don't have any talent. I'm not really good at anything. Or I'm a jack of all trades, but an expert at none. That's another phrase I hear a lot. How does someone like me become successful? That's a bunch of crap. You are talented. Everyone has talent. What you're doing is you're comparing yourself to people that have either been pursuing something for years or trying to be something you aren't. There are very few things that people need to be born with in order to excel at it. Like if you aren't at least 6 foot plus tall, it would be extra challenging to be a pro basketball player or having a voice that was made for singing. I'm not saying it can't happen, you're just stacking the deck against yourself. Also, you don't have to be the best in the world at something in order to have a certain degree of success. Just look at Muggsy Bogues or Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan will never be called the greatest singer of all time, but man, did he write some good songs. First thing you need to do is pick something you want to focus on. The reason you aren't good at anything is because you haven't picked your specialty yet. You have to pick your role in life. Do you want to be a healer, fighter, support? When you're playing a game like Final Fantasy, the characters are already created for you and they already have an affinity towards a certain skill tree. Once you've picked the role that you want to play, start putting your experience points into the skill tree that will help you become better at that role. After a time, next thing you know, you'll have more success at the very thing that the other person you thought was better, that you thought they had more talent than you, and technically might even be better than you, but they never did anything with it. Now, on to the heart of today's lesson. Have you ever wanted to accomplish something big, but you just felt like it was so big that there was no way you could handle it, and the thought of getting there is overwhelming? Well, you're probably right. You would be overwhelmed if you went straight into the end game of that dream today. That would be like trying to beat the last boss in any Final Fantasy game at level 1. We would get wiped out in moments. No matter how many times we tried to beat that level 60 or 90 monster with our level 1 experience, it ain't gonna happen. We need that experience. Jacksepticeye was on a talk show a while back called The Late Late Show, and he did an amazing job. For those of you who don't know who Jacksepticeye is, he's one of the most popular YouTube Let's Play YouTuber gamers, and I had just recently learned about him because I never watched Let's Play videos until I started doing these types of videos and making my own Let's Play. So some of my buddies said, hey, you should check out this guy Jacksepticeye. He's one of the more popular ones, and you should copy what he does, learn what he does that makes him successful. So he was on his first talk show appearance that I know of, and he handled it so well that a lot of people probably think, oh, he was born like this, or he was born for this. Go back and watch some of his super early stuff on YouTube. It was okay, not bad, just not great. He was a little awkward. He tried to change his accent so he wouldn't sound Irish, which made him second guess almost everything he said. Just like everyone else starting out, he had to find himself and grow into the type of person that he wanted to be. If he had gone on to the talk show when he first started without all the experience of doing his live streams, he probably would have absolutely bombed. If you asked him if he would have been able to do that talk show as well as he did 6 months or even 2 years into his career, what do you think he would say? He isn't the same person today that he was back then because of all the experiences that he's had, that he's grown from. There is no shortcut to success. There is no getting around grinding for experience. You have to play the game, and you have to play it yourself. Most of us have dreamed of becoming rich, and sometimes we think about taking a shortcut to getting rich, like winning the lottery, which would be awesome. Have you ever heard the statistic that about 70% of lottery winners end up in worse financial shape after they won the lottery than they were before they had won all that money? And they end up declaring bankruptcy within 5 years of winning. How is that possible, you ask? Well, winning the lottery is a lot like paying someone else to play the game for you to level up. And then when you try to play, you have no idea what all the spells and special moves are, so you still die when you go up against that boss or take part in that raid. When these people win all that money, they don't know how to handle it because they've never gained the experience of how to handle money. Just because they now have a significant amount of money doesn't mean that they automatically become a sophisticated investor. They got handed a big sum of money, but they never learned how to play the game. If you are starting your first band and you've been playing your instrument for maybe like a year, and your band tried to play in front of a couple thousand people, most of us would choke and be so nervous we would be booed off the stage. I remember seeing an interview with, I want to say it was one of the guys from Guns N' Roses, and the interviewer asked him, how does he explain his band's overnight success? His response was hilarious. He said something like, overnight success, my butt. We've been sleeping on floors and in the back of vans, in the back of our tour bus for years, playing in every dump of a bar across the country before you ever heard of us. In the book Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell, he talks about how the Beatles played 8-hour gigs 7 nights a week for 270 days a year for years before they had their debut on the Ed Sullivan Show. They all grinded for that experience, so when that opportunity came along, they were ready for it. Preparation plus opportunity equals success. I remember when I was really young playing my very first Final Fantasy game. It was Final Fantasy I, and I ran up against a boss that I just couldn't beat at the time. I tried multiple times and just couldn't beat him. I was young, and this was my very first time playing an RPG in the first place, so I had no strategy to speak of. And I remember realizing, wait, what if I'm just not strong enough yet? What if I go back into the world and gain some more experience points and level up some more? Well, guess what? After gaining a couple more levels, handling that boss was easy. Even though I wasn't very good at the game, all I had to do was grind for experience. And next thing you knew, I was a badass. The key point I hope you are getting from this is that even if you aren't the best at something, if you do it more and learn how to get better along the way, eventually you will pass a lot, and I mean a lot, of the so-called talented people, do you hear my air quotations, that want things to just come to them and never pursue their dream. You'll pass them all. Listen, we are all going to do something with our lives. Even if it's nothing, nothing is still something. Jim Carrey said, "So many of us choose our path out of fear, disguised as practicality." My father could have been a great comedian, but he didn't believe that was possible for him. So he made a conservative choice, and instead, he got a job as an accountant. When I was 12 years old, he was let go from that safe job. Our family had to do whatever we could to survive. I learned a great many lessons from my father, not the least of which is that you can fail at what you don't want, so you might as well take a chance on doing what you love. We are all gonna have to grind at something in life anyways, so we might as well grind at what we want to do in the first place. For those of you that would like to pursue this path a little deeper, I would recommend 3 books. The first would be Outliers by a guy named Malcolm Gladwell. The second book would be The Talent Code by a guy named Daniel Coyle. And the third would be Talent is Never Enough by John Maxwell. And I recommend reading them in that order, and I'll have some links in the description. If this video helps one fellow gamer adapt their way of thinking and grow into the type of person that they've always dreamed of becoming, then my time has been well spent. If this video has helped you in any way, then help your fellow gamers out and share it with them. Remember to give that video a big thumbs up on that like button and subscribe, and until next time, remember to keep moving forward!